it began when I met Linda Liang, and she talked to me about doing something with her organization. And she showed me the work of Liu Shiming, and I thought it was really interesting, especially given his life story. So I wanted to put something together that told a story, but also let people see the different ways that he worked and how close he was to his subject matter. I thought that was really, really important. And I also asked them specifically for some of his sketches, because he didn't do formal drawings, he just did really sketches, and I think they're very informative in terms of what he finally produced, because he did the drawings very, very fast. But it's not, many sculptors I know, when they do a drawing in preparation, it is much more detailed. They're very fluid, so I think it's just his mind worked so fast that he just drew these ideas, and sometimes they became something, sometimes they didn't, sometimes they became something years later, but they were very much a part of how he thought. I like different ones for different reasons, so I really like this one. Movement here. He's a musician, and you can see his hands playing, and his head is moving to the music. So when I think about it, and yet he's very solid. So it's sort of this contrast that I find very interesting. And, and the head is so fierce, the expression is. So I like this piece a lot. I know this is a copy of a very, traditional sculpture, but there's something about it that is so joyous.
Yeah.
And
raising his hand.
Yeah. And I think that's also, in a way, Liu Shiming, took joy. He had a difficult life.
Right.
But he also celebrated joy. And I like seeing, this for me, and also the ones he did of his grandson are very filled with pleasure and joy. And I like seeing that, because many of the others are of people who are working hard, and their expressions are serious, but this is pleasure. So they're very, and I love I like worship. I think because it is so related to, traditional European modernist sculpture. Modernist sculpture often was abstract, from a particular period of time. And when I look at this piece, it could have been done by any number of people. You know what I mean? Because of the style of it. And yet there are things about it that are very unique to the way he worked. So, and I love that it's in wood. Right. Because you could feel it, you can see the texture, and it's very, the patina on it is beautiful. So I like this piece a lot, and I paired it with this, which I was told meant home, or a version of that. So I like the idea of these two pieces together. Yeah, I think it's, this is probably one of the more finished drawings that he did. Most of them are very, very sketchy. So I thought that was really interesting. And I like, that feeling, because, worship is worship, but it's also about faith and belief. And so for me, that was, his hands are clasped here and they're open there. So that was very interesting to me, where he was living in this very tiny place that he called the kettle. And then he, made what looks like, actually more like a basket, but, a very contained kind of space. And he just looks tired, And he has his, he has his chicken and his stove and his television. And the television part of it just felt so modern. Yeah, exactly. And the pieces move. each one is individually inset, so you can change how they sit together. So, and he did this, later in his life. So I think when he was recalling this
Memory.
very difficult time,
Yeah, like the re-education
and this one too,
period.
yeah, it was very, very difficult. So, he went back to it, these themes that he kept going back to. I think the mission of this gallery is to bring new ideas and to educate the people here.
Yeah.
So if you can bring a show that brings something that they haven't seen before, that they would not have exposure to in any other way, you're really bringing them something very precious. And I think that's the importance of this show. They don't normally have this kind of work here because it's a membership gallery. And so it's mostly the artists who, live and work on Roosevelt Island or have chosen to be a part of the cooperative. So this kind of work is not normally what they see. This is very sophisticated, accomplished work. Not that the artists here aren't, but this comes from a whole different culture.
Right. It is.
And so I think that it's brought a lot, and you can see how many people keep
Children,
coming.
older people.
Yeah. So I think it's been very popular, and the response has been very good. But it was a very interesting project for me to work on because I'd not worked specifically with this kind of work before. I work with contemporary artists and some modern artists, and this walks a line. It's very traditional, but it's also very, modern, contemporary because of how he approached it. Yeah, because he didn't follow the rules. He did what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think it would be wonderful, and I think the clay workshop has been great. Because it's so engaging, I started to make something, but I got interrupted.